Hey everyone, it's Ed Zoller with Realtor Group with your end of April real estate market update for Southwest Florida, Lee County. For those of you who don't know me, I am a real estate agent for over 25 years, have been doing these market updates since 2002, restarted them back in 2022 after I finished in 2012, and just really just keeping you up to date about what's going on with the market, whether you're a seller or buyer or thinking of buying real estate or thinking of selling your home. I think all this information is very pertinent and important to understand. So let's get right to the data. We start with supply always, and we look at long-term average. About 7,200 homes is our long-term average since 2016. And you can notice here that the graphs go up, they go down, they go up, they go down almost very uniformly. And you see how the arrow is always pointing to the pink. The pink is April. And as you can see here for 2016, 17, 18, and 19, April always shows a decrease. And sure enough, for this April, we showed a little bit of decrease of inventory. Not as steep as these are, almost like a flattening, but we did lose 200 homes. And when you have inventory leaving, this is a good thing. The bad thing is we have almost 14,000 homes for sale. Last month we had over 14. Now we have 13,900. Still a lot of inventory, 91% more than we even need, above average. But this is a step in the positive direction, that it actually is starting to go down. And if it follows the trend of almost every year that we've been that I've been watching this, except for COVID, of course, where it was all chaotic, it should hit a level in October at some point. So this should start going down, which is good. But if it goes down equally as these have in the past, then we're still going to have over 10,000, and maybe starting from there, going back up, back into the 14,000 range. I just thought it was fairly interesting that April did exactly as we thought it was going to do, as it's done in almost every year except for the COVID years. So now let's take a look at demand. The demand of it, almost the same thing as well. Do you see how in April back in 2021, April here, it hit its peak. It was going down off its peak. It hit its peak in April. It went down a little bit, and this might be we hit our peak in April, just like it has in previous years. So the sales did go up. That's a positive step in the right direction, 11%. Of course, we are coming off of 2025, and we had in January a 40-year low of sales. Our average about 1,700 homes, and we did not quite even get to this trend line. Now, I drew this trend line just to kind of show you where real estate's going. Where are the buyers drifting towards? And for right now, it's looking like it's going to fall a little short of even this trend line. 1,300 homes were sold in the peak month of the entire year. May not be a great thing. We want to see this keep continuing going up and maybe breaking this trend line a little bit. I just don't see the data supporting that. So in my opinion, when you have high supply, that means lower prices, and you have low demand, that means lower prices. It's pretty easy to say that you think our prices are going to go down. Why? We're going to get to. But rates actually are the same exact rate they were last month. Matter of fact, they're the same exact rate they were 1 year ago as well. So they're kind of sitting steady, but still way overpriced for what our current pricing is. Of the 1,337 sales in April, 400 of those were new construction. That's 30% of our sales. 3 out of 10 were new construction, 7 out of 10 were not. And when I say new construction, I mean 2024 or better. So they could be 2023, 2022 homes. But I thought that was interesting that a third of our sales were new homes, but if you go back to here, only 15 or under 15% of our inventory is new homes. So new homes are definitely taking the highlight feature for buyers, and there's a reason for that. We're going to get to that in this as well. But again, demand up, that's a good positive thing. Demand not even hitting a downward trend line, that's probably not a good thing. Average home price. Now I've circled these two little, call them bubbles. We know that was a bubble. Everyone can admit that no 506, we had a bubble. What is a bubble? Well, it's when it goes over the projected or expected dollar amount for what a home is worth. This trend line here, which I used to have it as a flat line at 220 just because that was a long-term average. But what I wanted to show you with this is I had this going up as income went up as well. It's the same ratio for the last 25 years of the steadiest of what income has gone up. Income does dictate price. When people make more money, they can afford more monthly payment. And so this is where, in my opinion, this is where it was very normal. It actually fit this trend line very well back in 2016, 17, 18, 19, and 20, and even into 21. But then when it has this rapid increase like this, our average home prices, that means our prices are too high. And you see what it did here. It overcorrected itself, got underneath that trend line, and then played catch up from 14 to pretty much 18 or 16, and then from 16 to 21, everything was hunky-dory, probably exactly where the market should have been, but then COVID happened and this happened as well. So what do I think is going to happen for you sellers out there? Why is this important? Because we see what happened with this mound. It went all the way down, went past where it should have stopped, it overcorrected itself and made its way back up. So what do I think is going to happen here? Well, I don't have any data supporting that it's going to do anything other than exactly what it did before. It's going to come down. It's going to probably hit this line, come underneath it, and then probably hit back in this line again where house prices should be right around, what do I got here, 250, 250, 260, but we're at 350 right now. So price has a little bit more of a way to go. It was a super stubborn graph to begin with where it was just fighting itself, where this is a nice rounded top. This is a much bigger thing. And there was a reason for that. Builders were keeping prices high, offering way too many incentives. And that's fine. It makes the monthly payment lower, but that's not a reality of the market. That doesn't help you if you own a home because you own a used home and you're not a builder. But now it's finally coming into, and so it did go down. It went down like 0.15%. That's not a huge amount of money, but down is still better because it makes us more affordable. Now let's get to that. Why are buyers not buying? Why is demand down? Why is inventory barely coming off itself and prices being stubborn? We're not sustainable. Now this graph is making its way to this line. If you notice from 2010 all the way to 2021, that people can afford about 21 to 24% of their gross income. Well, we can find income. Every month, I get a new data point from the Census Bureau that says what Lee County people make. Now, they lost $500 $450 a year off of household income as of this last month. And so when that goes down, you would expect this to be less affordable because people are making less money. But we did go down in the house payment as compared to income ratio. But as you can tell here, back in 06, when houses were over 50% of your gross income, that's not the money you bring home. That's money that is gross, not net income. And you're putting more than half into a mortgage for Southwest Florida. That's what you hear up in California and New York, not down here. And so obviously that wasn't sustainable. And so we crashed and we got back down to the normal thing of 21 to 23%. And the prices of the homes, regardless of them going up, stayed in that realm. When the interest rates kind of plummeted in 2018, this came way down because interest rates were like 2 and 3%. And then COVID happened. The FOMO started. The buyers went crazy. The listings disappeared that we've all talked about in previous updates. And there you go, shoot right to the moon again. And now we're not affordable. This isn't a sustainable market even at this price. But if I do calculations of 74,051 and I multiply by a long-term average, that's taking into an effect that this is what people were affording and this is what normally is, it's about 28%. Well, we can figure out that people can afford about $1,727 a month. Is that everybody? No. My opinion, it's still around $1,600 because this is where I actually think it lives. I just think it goes way up top here because of we've had two back-to-back 17 years apart craziness of the market. Totally different reasons why they did it. But the average home right now, even at that $356, is still about $2,600 a month. And that's 51% overinflated of where it should be. So just consider that when you say, why is it going down? Why aren't people buying? Why are people moving out? Why does all this data suggest that we're crashing or Florida's crashing or Texas is crashing and Idaho? All I have to do is look at the average household income, find out what the average price is, figure out what a mortgage is going to be, and I can probably tell you what's going to be next and when it should correct itself. So are we stable? So the Zillow home price index or home value index is something I do look at. And what you want to look at here is, and this kind of info comes from Zillow, and Zillow does have some accurate information. They usually tend to be a little dated on their stuff, but I enjoy watching this because it can kind of give you a snapshot of what's going on. Again, 0506, look at how the home growth, we're not, 3% doesn't sound like a lot, but 3% a month, that's 36%, that's or 40% a year. So that's not normal, obviously. And then we crashed, and so our prices were going down up to negative 3% per month. And then we kind of stabilized in 2012. And when I saw this graph touch this line, not once, but two other times in history, and then it back tested it, came back down, and then it went back up again, and then it back tested again, and came back down. When I see it above this line, see, that's a normal market. Remember I said 2012, we started seeing it got back on track. We had our little foreclosure episode, and then the prices went way down, and then they started leveling back off. That's about this time where house prices were going up about 1% a month. That's a little high, but that 0.1, 0.4, and all this was very, very normal. 2014 to 2021. And then what happened? We got right back up into that 3% a month range again. Not once, but twice. And that obviously failed. And now we are getting further and further along. So if people said, Ed, is the market stable? No, because this graph, this line is not touching this. As a matter of fact, it's getting further away. Look, these are the last 4 months. Negative 0.62%, negative 6.5, negative 6.9, negative 8.5. That is getting further away from what we want to see. The last time this happened here, we had 59 consecutive months of negative home growth. Right now, we are going on our 21st month. And I remember when I first did my first update, you have to go back, a year and a half ago, and I did the very, hey, we're on 2 consecutive months. Maybe this won't last as long as this one, but we didn't know. Well, we've almost hit the halfway mark of that. Well, 9 more months and we will. But so far, it doesn't look like we're getting any better, including with these prices coming down. It's just not doing the thing to stabilize the market yet. So let's compare the stats. 14,000 homes for sale. It did go down. That's a good thing. This is a positive thing for the real estate market of inventory disappearing, but we still have way too much, and we got to do a lot better than losing a couple hundred homes. The homes sold did go up that couple hundred, but the pending sales are future sales for next month, and that went down. It's been going up since January, February, March, April. March, pendings had gone up, which told me that the sales should go up, and they did. And now we had a 10% drop in pending sales. And I'll tell you, just being in the field and being out with buyers, the first 2 weeks of April were just a continuation of our season, which usually ends in either March or April. But the last 2 weeks, completely dead, completely dry. You got trades asking what's going on. You got people canceling the pest control. I mean, I'm talking to a lot of trades out there, and it's just the last 2 weeks, the people are gone. The Canadians have left. The Northerners have gone back up north. Everything's starting to thaw out, but also the buyers are not trickling in as they always have in the past. The new construction homes for sale actually went up. This was a trend that we were at almost 2,500 new constructions, and then we all of a sudden had this big drop. Well, I found out builders were taking houses off the market. They weren't being sold. They were just taking them off, especially in communities where they just didn't get any sales. So we did have this decrease of 400 homes, but they were withdrawn, not sold, most of them. Now we're seeing new constructions going back up again, which means we have to kind of chew through all of this, because as this title of this video is, the builders are in control. They're in panic. They're in desperation mode. I'm going to get to that for the next couple slides. Our average time on market went up. That's not a positive thing for you sellers out there. The median asking price, now median is the one that's directly in the middle, that has stayed the same. The median selling price obviously has gone down, even though the asking prices are higher, and the percent of asking prices sold is down. But you sellers out there, expect to get 93 to 96% of what you're asking. But if you're not asking a proper number, you just won't get eyeballs. You just will not get shown, or no one's going to raise their hand. So that's kind of like what I get out of all of this. And for the future, the pending sales going down 200, which means the 2,000 pending sales equal 1,300 sales. Now the 1,800 should be around 1,100, and we're going to start maybe, hopefully not breaking records again of low demand as we did this year. The buyers or sellers market, well, because we did have an uptick of buyers and we did have a decrease of inventory, we did go down into the over 10-month category, which I still say is that super crazy buyers market. These three categories didn't exist until, God, middle of last year. And then I had to make them just because we had almost 18 months of inventory, which has never been seen before. But now we're getting back into still a super crazy buyer's market for you buyers out there. And sellers, just understand it's slow and it takes a while to sell your home. And you do have to price yourself accordingly and change with this market as it changes. The price cuts, this floored me. We broke a record. Our own record we set back in 2010 or 9 or so was the percent price cuts. This is the percent of listings that have dropped their price, and we hit 39.9. We actually were leading the state when we had 37 right back over here. But now we actually broke that record right now for April. And I thought, oh my God, we're going to be number one in the state again. We're not. We're not even the worst in the state. Punta Gorda and the Villages, 40%, over 40% of an active listing in a month period of time has dropped their price. We've got Northport and Tampa's joined the mix. For those of you who watched me about a year ago, I was like, hey, welcome Tampa. You just made the top 10 list of you might be crashing soon. And then now they're in full-blown Pinellas County, Hillsborough County is going through the same thing we went through about 6 months ago. So whatever happens to us is going to happen to them. And then it's whenever we level, then we'll know within 6 months they'll probably level as well. But I thought that was really interesting. We broke a record where we were leading almost the country, but definitely the state in price cuts. And now we're number third, even though we broke our record. So that's not positive to be bullish on our real estate market. To understand that prices are going to start going up anytime soon. Doesn't look like it based on this kind of price cut activity. Last month, I went over builders and why they're doing what they're doing. I'm going to go over this now. This is just a recap, and I put both graphs on the map just to describe. For those of you who missed last month's update, let me just give you a brief synopsis here. This was the 06-07 bubble. This is how many thousands of units that builders had completed homes. That CO'd, certificate of occupancy. It's a house. It's not just improved land. It's got a roof. It's got walls. It's got AC. It's running. You can move into it tomorrow. And you can see this huge uptick since 2022 that we've actually exceeded a level we haven't seen since 06. I keep mentioning 06 and 09 a lot, but this is continuing to go up. As far as the new homes, just in the southern states, coming right from the Census Bureau, we actually have, as far as we being builders, have more homes going up in the southern states than they ever have, including the 06 bubble where they built too many homes. And that was one of the big reasons why we did crash, is there was way too many homes for sale, and builders will steal those buyers well before anyone who owns a home and has a used home is going to be able to get them. So just think of that for a second. And then I introduced you to my friend Dave. Well, Dave and his wife just closed on that home, and I pointed out that this home and this home and this, all these 700, and this one just closed this year in January for 714. Asking price was 811, and we got the same home. We got it 811 asking price, where he got 100 grand off and he got 80 grand off. Sound like good deals, right? We offered 550 and we got it for 589 and 50 grand worth of incentives. Imagine being this guy who just bought the same exact home January for 714. We just picked up something for 589. That's 35% off of asking price and 25% lower than the very last sale that was only a few months ago. And don't they look happy? This is my friend Dave and his family who just closed on that home. And that was when we went to the builders when they were at their most desperate moment, which is usually during a slow quarter or a slow month. And we said, here's our offer. And they could laugh at you, or they can say yes, like this builder, William Ryan, did. Let's show you one I just did a week ago, not even a week ago. I had a couple, and I was going to call it my mother-daughter duo. And we went out and looked at homes, and they loved this little 4-bedroom home. It was 1,800 square feet, it's two 900 square foot homes on top of each other. They liked the two different models. One is a 4-bedroom like that I talked about, and another one was this really big one here, 2,100 square feet. It had an extra bathroom, and that was really important because they're going to have 3 people, and everyone gets their own bathroom. Was important. The problem was this house was 360, and the other one was 325. So price point wise, they wanted to be able to afford this home. And At the time we went to them about a month and a half ago, they kind of said, well, we can take a little bit off. Maybe we can take 325 down, but I'll tell you what, at the end of the quarter, once you come back, we might be able to get that thing down to 290. And I'm like, well, that's great, because someone just paid for a 1,900 square foot home $333,000, just closed in February, and then we can take that 333. They're asking 370. See that huge 40 grand drop in price? That sounds like a good deal, right? Why wouldn't anyone take a brand new home 40 grand off what their asking price is? But I believe they can go better. So we waited for the worst week. The agent called and said, hey, those ladies you brought in, my manager wants a deal. So we did the same thing I did with Dave and his family with my mother-daughter duo. We walked in, we said, listen, we like that little 1,800 square foot, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-story house that's brand new. We'll take all those incentives and everything is good. And they said, we are going to bring that down to 290. The mortgage payment is going to be blank. So then I asked, how about this home? How about a 300 square foot extra bathroom, bigger home? Single story, no stairs, because who really likes stairs except for athletes or people that are younger, not older people, they definitely don't. Would you take 290 for that one? Oh, and you're also offering an epoxy floor. We want that too. Oh, and you're also offering a 4.99% interest rate, which costs about 18 grand to get. Oh, and you're also giving $17,400 in closing costs, meaning that my people don't have to come up with a dime more than their down payment. Yeah, we want all that, and we want 290. And within an hour, yes, 20% off asking price, 13% off the very last sale of a smaller home in the same area. Guys, that is a $70,000 off thing. And this is actually a screenshot of what they had. There was their asking price, 360. They knocked 70 grand off and made it 290 flat. And all these incentives added on top of that, including the epoxy floor. I tried to get a TV in there too, but yeah, sometimes they say no. But they didn't counter us a dime. They didn't even question it because they wanted a sale. It's the end of the quarter. And this is the time when patience definitely paid out. How does this impact the used market? Well, we just picked up a 2,100 square foot home. So I did a search within a 2-mile radius of every active, pending, and closed sale of a 2,100 square foot within 100 square feet within the same newness, within a couple years old, of anything that's used, right? And this is all what came out here. And look at even some bigger homes. Look at the asking prices, 344, 373, 375. Look at the pending sales, 379, 384. Someone has these under contract right now. Tropicana Parkway's a main road. So you got a 1,900 square foot home on a main road for 379. And guys, we just picked up a 2,100 square foot home not on a main road for 290. Now look at the sales. The 410, it's 375, it's closed for 394, 400, 412, 450. These are all this year, 2025 closings, including 418 was the last one. New construction, a 410, smaller than what we just got. We got it for 290 and they paid 375. And they probably got incentives too because it was a builder. But just think of that for a second. Actually, Entrada is not a builder. That's not a new construction. That's a couple years old because that thing's closed out. So just think of that. What does this do to the used market now that a builder drops their house 70 grand? Don't the used market, don't they have to do that as well? Well, yeah, of course. Because if I take the least expensive home of 375 with the current interest rate and an FHA loan, look at the monthly payment, 25, 23, and you're putting 21 grand down if that thing was 1 year old, 1 week old, 1 month old, doesn't matter. But you can get the brand new home and you only have to put down 10 grand, saving yourself 11 grand, and your monthly payment's $1,933, saving you $590 a month for the next 30 years. Patience, 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 you buyers out there. This is real life right here. I just did this literally today. Pull up this data to show you patience pays. You just got to be there at the right time. So again, I talked about this last month, the impact of the used market. And here's a guy who bought this home here, 1,500 square foot home. If he's trying to sell it right now for 365, that's less than he even paid in 2022. He paid 380. He's trying to sell it for less. He's been on the market 117 days. You understand now why no one's buying this home? Because 20 grand down is $2,800 a month. When you can get a same exact square footage, same home, same area with 11K down, not 20. And 2243, and look at how great that deal looks. And then I take my own listing. Guys, this is a listing I just put under contract. It's closing in 2 weeks. How happy is my lady when we dropped down to 299.8, went under contract for 303? That monthly payment is going to be significantly higher than this house here at 315 or that 290 house. This is a 1,400 square foot used home. Okay, it's got a fence, got impact windows, got an above ground pool. Above ground pool you could buy yourself. Fence cost, you can put that on yourself as well. But the difference in square footage, the smaller, older home going for 303, and I just picked up a 4-bedroom, 2,100 square foot home for 290. This is what we're talking about. The used market needs to kind of catch up. And because this just happened in March and April, this desperation, this is what's going to impact us for the next year for the used market. The seller's got to get the memo that the used market just crashed. The new market just crashed the used market. So an overview, and I'll let you guys read all this. You can go on to LeeCountyMarketUpdate.com. You will see every video and every PowerPoint of every single one I've done just listed down the board. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll even see one prediction I did back in 2022, and it's been there ever since, to talk about the why I thought 2022 felt like 06, the way people were acting and being in the market back then as well. But yeah, price reductions, broken record. The demand did increase. Pending sales went down. Home value growth year over year is under the stabilization line, 21 consecutive months now. Big discounts from builders, over 10 months of supply. If I just put it like that, just give you the basic data of this, it just doesn't mean our market is going to keep going down. The used market has to keep up. And this is what I'm talking with buyers. You don't have to wait for the market to crash in the next year or two. You can just get a monthly payment like it already did, like taking 70 grand off a price, like getting an interest rate that doesn't exist, that's going to lower your monthly payment 5 times the amount. And if I just took that money off the price. And I did explain that in a couple videos ago. My data sources, I use everything that you guys can see yourself. Unless you're a realtor, you have to. Yeah, that's our Southwest Florida MLS data. You need to be that, but you can use Zillow, Fred as well, the U.S. Census Bureau, Realtor.com, Zillow. So you sellers out there, the season for Southwest Florida is almost over. If you ever thought about selling your home this next month, until really you have to wait for next year. If you're thinking of selling in the next 6 to 7 months, you may want to talk about doing that because that fake equity is still there. Your house still has more value, even though the house is going to rapidly catch up. Make your house, you have to market differently. And this is what I do with my listings. Why did I sell that one for 303 and the builders can't even sell it for the same price? There's a reason. And those are the things we can talk about when I go to your house about marketing. For you buyers, I've been saying this for months now. Patience, patience, and patience to infinity. Wait for your time. Find what you like. Wait for it to fall into your hands. It's a house of falling daggers. Don't reach. Just let it fall gracefully like a feather into your hand, and you just don't settle. Think about my friend Dave. Think about the mother-daughter duo from this month. How much money did they save? $250,000 for Dave and his family, and the mother and daughter just saved $70,000 just waiting a couple weeks from when they first saw that 360 home. That 14,000, even though it's a little bit less, is a huge stockpile of inventory. 2,100 new construction homes is a stockpile of inventory. In the southern states, 300 and over 300,000 build homes under construction. That's a huge amount to have to chew through to think that we're just going to rebound next year or this month or this quarter or this year at all. That's what I look at. And so if you guys have any questions, concerns, you can always go email me. This is my phone number. You can call me directly. That's a video testimonial I have for Dave and his family as he called me on a Sunday. I picked up and we talked and we set that ball in motion to get him into being a buyer. And for you buyers out there that are patient, it never hurts to get ready and start looking, because that mother-daughter I talked to 3 months ago, we went out and looked. We identified what they wanted and we didn't settle for the not having the 3 bathrooms. We didn't settle for having a 2-story when they really weren't in love with that idea. LeeCountyMarketUpdate.com right down here is the website. You can see all of this. That's my for buyers who are maybe first-time home buyers, or even if you bought a few homes before. TeachersCanBuyHomes.com is my website to answer a quick 3-minute survey. It gives me your information, tells me that you're thinking of buying a home and that you want to be put on this list to find that next deal, and we can start the hunting and shopping process, but we're going to do it with patience and focus. I thank you guys for watching. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.